Week 6 has officially kicked off. Let's break down the great slate of games ahead. We, of course, have your highlights from Giants, Patriots, all the ins and outs and the fallout of that one. But it's time for a round of Mad Minute. Let's go to Cleveland. The Browns hosting the Seahawks. I wish I could say 2 Super Bowl contenders, but I'm not so sure. Nate, what are we expecting in this matchup? 60 on the clock.
Yeah, 1 Super Bowl contender for sure. You know, it's funny because we can talk X's and O's all day, but I'm fascinated by the personalities of these two teams. Russell Wilson, who was one of those individuals who has always done it the right way. Company guy. Some people say he's a nice guy. But this nice dude has been kicking butt. On the flip side, you have a guy like Baker Mayfield.
Very different.
He's very brash, very outspoken. I want to see who humbles who. And my vote right now is Russell Wilson.
Yeah, look, it lost in handshake gate and whatever else we made out of that and the media made out of that and what became of it was that the Browns got their butts whipped up and down the field on national television on Monday. That has to hurt. It has to hurt as an ego. It has to hurt as a self-esteem. It has to hurt in the locker room. How do they respond? I will learn a lot about Freddie Kitchens and about what they've got in that locker room character-wise. See how they respond against a Seattle team at home in front of another national audience.
I'm not kidding. I can't wait for the handshakes. I can't wait. There's going to be 50 cameras around that coin toss.
So?
100%. This is the most handshake I've looked forward to since like the Belichick Eric Mangini. I'm all about it. I hope he does the Bobby Wagner with the down low, too slow hair slick. Just do it, Baker. That's your thing now. I do.
Do you think he's going to think about it? Like, is he going to be very
It's
like,
possible.
all the cameras watching here? I bet he's
Baker's very
like
cheeky.
that.
He might.
Yeah.
He might. And I think he should.
We'll see how that one goes. It is in Cleveland. Let's go to Jacksonville. The Jaguars are hosting the Saints. It's a battle of the backups. How do we see this one playing out, Triggs?
Yeah, I feel like this past week, Teddy Bridgewater showed us he's more than just this amazing, inspirational story. He's a great quarterback in the league, or at the very least had a great game. But I feel upset coming on in this one. I don't know why. I just feel like Minshew had an awesome game against Carolina. They didn't come out with the win. They were on the road.
You believe in the mania.
And I'm kind of in on Minshew. Like, I'm in on it. And I feel like the Saints are ripe for an upset. They're going into Jacksonville, a team that they might be overlooking with other teams coming on. Love what they've done without Drew Brees. Can they sustain this? Minshew mania, there's something to it. Fournette might run the ball down their throats.
We've had a lot of debates on this show about whether DeAndre or Julio is a better player. I'm running out of reasons why Michael Thomas is not as good as both those guys. And it's a great matchup this weekend because it's looking like Jalen is going to play.
Really?
Michael Thomas has never faced Jalen Ramsey before. He's never faced A.J. Boye before. Remember, 9 catches a week is all he needs to do to catch Marvin Harrison for the most in one season. Jalen versus Michael Thomas, who I think is right now the best receiver in the league.
Speaking of arguments made, how about Alvin Kamara versus Leonard Fournette? And I know last year that wouldn't even be a question. Leonard Fournette had an over 200-yard game this year, so he's making a statement for himself. Alvin Kamara has always been a constant. Let's see who steps up big out of these two running backs.
Last time the Saints lost to the Jags, 2003, an infamous John Carney missed extra points.
That's the return.
That's the best. The lateral play. Yeah.
That was that game. Let's see what happens. Whoa!
Zoom in on Kyle. And
Paython is laterally, and it's Deuce McAllister. It's the beer man. That's an infamous
scored
game.
a miracle touchdown, which would have sent the game to overtime.
John Carney had never missed an extra point in his life. Notre Dame. Oh, I love that game.
Love that I brought that up.
That's a great nugget.
a camera came from the
on.
sky to capture Kyle's reaction there.
Moving on to Arizona, the Cardinals host the Falcons. What are you guys looking for in this one, Kyle? Back to you. Zoom in.
You know, it's the thing about John Carney was I want to see what's wrong with Atlanta. I was a huge supporter and celebrator of the Atlanta. I thought they were winning the title game, and yeah. All the players are there. It's all the names you know. It's all these household names, and yet they're not there. And it makes me think of the Saints. The Saints, after all these years, are still responding to Sean Payton. They're not tuning him out. I don't know if the DQ motivational thing has fallen flat because I see all the stars and I don't see any of the wins.
There was a game last week between the Bengals and the Cardinals that I would imagine very little people in America watched. It was 2 winless teams.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray looked really good. And that was the Kyler Murray I think we were hoping to see week 1, week 2. He looked really good. He led them on a drive at the end after they would give up a 14-point lead. I think there's something to build on right now, and I feel like Kyler Murray might be catching heat a little later than we expected, and this could be the get-right game at home where he shows the home crowd, hey, look, this is what you drafted.
I hear you on that. And Kyle, you said you want to see what's wrong with Atlanta.
Yeah.
I want to see what's right with Kyler. He used his legs, and that's what you're talking about, Schrager. Maybe this game and the rest of the season, he says, you know what, I'm a little undersized. Teams are batting down a lot of balls. Let me just tuck and run because I'm more athletic than most guys on defense.
Okay. Week 6 is one of those weeks where you got 4 teams on a bye. There's some quarterbacks that are hurt. I like Matt Ryan and Kyler Murray from a fantasy perspective. And
Jones and head coach Pat Shurmur after falling to 2-4.
I didn't play well by any means. I don't mean to confuse that, but I don't think it was overwhelming. I think it was just bad plays, bad decisions.
They did a good job of we move the ball a little bit at times, but we need to do a better job of staying on the field. We were only, I think, 2 for 10 on third downs, which is not good. That hasn't been the way it's been the last couple of weeks. Give them credit. They made more plays than we did. They won the game.
Giants started off strong, but look at their numbers in the fourth quarter compared to the past. No points, 8 total yards, 4 passing yards, and 1 first down. They did score the first passing touchdown on this #1 defense with New England in New England. So let's hit a little eye test for the rookie, Daniel Jones. I'm not going to talk about his poise or his demeanor, but what did you guys make of his play against the Patriots?
Does he pass the eye test? Did he look the part? Sure, that's fine. But for me, it's about the turnovers. That's what I'm focused on. It's those poorly thrown balls that you have to protect like your family jewels. And even though this defense is nuts, he's out there throwing this rock around as if he was a novice player. And here's the thing. I know we all got excited about Daniel Jones, and rightfully so. He came in for Eli, and he didn't have Saquon, won a couple games. But when you face a team like this that can put things in perspective, show you how young you are, show you how inexperienced you are, teach you the life lessons of when to tuck the ball, when to throw it out of bounds, and when to take a sack. That's what the difference is between Daniel Jones passing the eye test 5 years from now and Daniel Jones passing the eye test as a rookie. Does he look the part? Sure, Kay. Does he have a long way to go? Yes.
Yeah, rookies were 0-11 as quarterback going into Foxborough, they're 0-12. That doesn't even blip on the radar with Daniel Jones last night. He didn't do anything last night. And I don't blame him. No Saquon, no Evan Engram, no Sterling Shepard. And the approach to this game wasn't exactly let's go for the jugular here. It's 4th and 2. They're down 14 points with 7 minutes left to go on the road. And your rookie is playing his butt off, getting knocked around. And Pat Shurmur punts. I don't think the approach in this game was, let's go and slay the dragon. This one was, let's keep it close. Let's try to protect our quarterback. And let's try to live another down. They end up losing by 21, and we'll never remember this game again. It was an irrelevant game. They lost by 21 points. I don't care what it felt like in the second quarter. I'm going to give an asterisk on Daniel Jones' performance. It was irrelevant. It doesn't matter at this point. Didn't have his weapons, and I don't think the approach to this game was, let's go slay the dragon and kill. Because when there were opportunities to, it felt like the Giants just wanted to play defense. And to me, that wasn't the approach to win with a quarterback. Maybe they don't have the faith in him to go and get that first down.
You'll give an asterisk?
Yeah.
Ain't no asterisks in football, bro.
Okay, so
they played a football game, played against one of the best teams. Hold that L, take that L. He didn't have players. Okay.
I tend to come out that way. I don't see an asterisk. I give him an F. It wasn't good enough. He had to turn the ball over a bunch of times. Guys, there were plays to be made in that game. They're 14-14. It was not this thing where they didn't show up. And is this? I'm not going to do that with this guy. This whole coddling. Was this a learning experience for? A learning experience for Daniel Jones. We decided to take a geology elective at Duke. Okay, they're minerals, not rocks. That's great. This was not it. And I'm looking at guys like Gardner Minshew, who was taking about 600 picks after Daniel Jones. Kyle Allen, who was not taken. And they're winning, and they're playing games, and I get it. It's the Patriots. But, I'm not going to say that was fine. He didn't have his players. Too bad. He threw way too many interceptions, and it just didn't go well. I need a better game than that. And if he did play better than that, I think they would have been in contention at the end of the game. I think they were. Any more.
But there was an idea that this wasn't a fair fight, right? He doesn't have Saquon. He doesn't have Evan Engram, who's clearly very important to that offense. Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate's just in his second week back. He actually made a lot of great plays. And they didn't even have the backup to Saquon Barkley. So my question, if they had all of those weapons, do they win this game? They're very much so much more competitive. We'll get to the Patriots offense and their struggles in a little bit. Do they win this game with a full complement of offense?
I'm not bold enough to say that. I'm not bold enough to say with Saquon Barkley and Evan Engram and Golden Tate balling the way he did. And if Daniel Jones takes care of the ball, they'll win this game. No. This team isn't as good as the Patriots. Let's just call it what it is. And I know we're concerned about the Patriots, right? Tom Brady has an interception, doesn't throw a TD, has 2 rushing touchdowns. Patriots offense doesn't look the same. But what do? They play well on one side of the ball, and they separate themselves from the team they're playing at some point in the game. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah, they were close. They were within contention, just like Washington was last week.
I don't know. Saquon's out there.
Saquon's out there. It helps. But I think at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson went into Foxborough as a rookie and went blow for blow with Tom Brady. It was like, let's go. And they put up 30 points. And I saw Kaepernick go into to Foxborough, not as a rookie, but as a young player, win.
When you see Daniel Jones and you see the idea of getting Saquon back, is this a team that can make a run at a wild card? You know what I mean? Could they get to 9-7? Could they put? Maybe. The defense was spirited as hell
Better
last
yet,
night.
are we done talking about the Giants? They're 2-4. Was that it?
Hey, listen, I'll take it a step further.
NFC
Better yet, are we done talking about Danny Dimes? Because we came in and we were hyped. We were cheering. There was a parade outside.
First two starts.
He looked great his first 2 starts, right? It was all good. We found the guy. And then the last couple games, what did he look like? The rookie looked like what? A rookie. And I'm not saying he's not that dude, but I'm saying pump the brakes on how great
Case point, though, he doesn't have anyone. Like, literally, Saquon. I come off as negative on these guys because they have NFL journeys, but, like, you should never go into an NFL football game with an undrafted running back from Rutgers named John Hillman and Eli Penny and Darius Slayton as your key core playmakers.
Up against the Minnesota defense.
Up against the top 2 defensive
Look at what Brady had out there last night. I mean, he loses Gordon. Edelman is, they had Golden Tate on the other side. It's interesting because it's the standard of, like, I'll play with Lacoste and some guy named Izzo, and I'm still going to hang 40 points on you. You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes Brady, though.
Tell that to Nick Mullins last year with the San Francisco 49ers, who was competitive in every game, lighting it up, throwing it to George Kittle without Jet McKinnon sitting behind him. I mean, this story happens every single year. It's happening right now. Kyle mentioned a couple of teams. I'm not saying that he didn't go in shorthanded. But when you're turning the ball over, that's one thing you can't control.
Yeah.
If you're dropping back and you're taking a hit and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I can get this out to one of my receivers and it gets picked off. That's on the QB. Yeah. So all I'm saying is he has to play better, and he also needs
There wasn't a single moment where a wide receiver on the Giants had any separation from those Patriots defenders. He had no shot. He was throwing into they're draped him. Even the Golden Tate touchdown was an incredible play by Tate.
And that's been a theme on every team, though, Trace. It ain't just the Giants.
Fair.
There was the thought going into yesterday's game, even if they lose, or are we going to feel better about Daniel Jones as Giants fans in the morning? Tell us how you feel out there at GMFB. Please hit us up. Let us know. Maybe we'll run some of your tweets on the air as we get an injury update from Ian Rappaport. Rap sheets coming to us from the East Coast. What can you tell us about what's going on? I know Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey is dealing with a bit of an injury. He missed practice on Wednesday. He was back out there on Thursday ahead of their game against the Bucs on Sunday morning in London. And then what's going on with Tyreek Hill?
We'll start with Christian McCaffrey. This all seems to be fine for McCaffrey. Ron Rivera talked to reporters in London earlier this morning, much earlier this morning, and said a couple things. First of all, McCaffrey missing practice on Wednesday, which is probably going to be his new normal, something that they're going to use to make sure he stays off his feet and just kind of stays energized throughout a season where he's going to get a ton of carries. That was something that they did this week, didn't practice on Wednesday, and they used the time to get extra treatment on his back. You're seeing him right there, kind of somersault into the end zone, land hard. Basically, it is just a bruise. McCaffrey was back at practice yesterday. He is going to be good to go for Sunday. And for Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs star receiver, who now suddenly is someone they really need after a dismal performance last week, he is getting very close to being back. He has practiced this week in a limited fashion, trying to return from a sternoclavicle injury. From what I understand, there is optimism that he is back on the field and is out there this week. But similar to the Sam Darnold situation, feelings are one thing, but tests and scans are another thing. They're going to scan the bone, make sure it is healed properly, make sure it's safe for him to be out there. It's going to happen today. If all goes well, he should be out on the field this weekend.
Patrick Mahomes looking to bounce back, of course, from a loss to the Colts, and he faces Deshaun Watson, who's coming off a 5-touchdown game with no sacks this week. I'm so looking forward to that Week 6 matchup, especially from a fantasy perspective. We'll get you some sleepers a little later in the show. Ian Rappaport, thank you for joining us. And speaking of Deshaun Watson,